Hey, what is up guys? This is your boy Ballercast and welcome back to the channel. So let's talk about Assassin's Creed once again. I mean, this is a meme by this point. But Ubisoft has long prided itself on historical authenticity in the Assassin's Creed franchise. From the Renaissance of Italy to the revolutionary France, they've actually carefully crafted worlds that are inspired by real events and people. But their latest installment, Assassin's Creed Shadows, throws that entire concept out of the window. Suddenly, historical accuracy is optional whenever it's convenient for them. A black samurai rewriting Japanese history? That's perfectly fine. But any other major historical revision? That's where they draw the line. So let's talk about it. For years, Ubisoft has sold Assassin's Creed on its commitment to history. They consulted experts for Assassin's Creed Origins in Egypt. They meticulously reconstructed Paris for Unity, and even Valhalla maintained some resemblance of his historical Viking culture, despite liberties taken. And I'm gonna quote this from Ubisoft themselves. They said once that they strive to blend history with fiction, but their goal is always to respect the real world cultures that they depict. That's the marketing spiel, right? But suddenly, when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, all of that goes out the window. We now have Yasuke, a real historical figure, but instead of his actual story as a slave turned retainer, Ubisoft turns him into a shinobi warlord, battling entire armies of samurai. And this is where the cracks in Ubisoft's so-called commitment to history starts to show. So let us get to the double standards. Would Ubisoft allow this in another setting? Let's say, for example, if Yasuke's story were just one historical reinterpretation, that would be one thing. But Ubisoft clearly doesn't apply this logic evenly. Let's test their commitment to diverse historical storytelling in this video with a thought-provoking experiment. A Cuban assassin in Africa. Now, the reason I mention a Cuban assassin is because I'm a Cuban myself, and I should also be represented. Hey, Ubisoft, hey, sweet baby, hire me as a DI expert. I want Cuban representation, but in Africa, okay? So let's imagine if Assassin's Creed announced a game where a Cuban Liberator assassin arrives in Africa, fights local tribes, dismantles their religion, and imposes his own culture onto the Africans. You don't even need to think that hard. This is exactly what Yasuke is doing in Japan, just with different skin tones. Now, just think of a Cuban assassin draped in gold chains, rocking a cigar in his mouth and a machete on his back. Ubisoft, you opened the floodgates, and now we want our turn. If Yasuke can conquer Japan, then meet Diego El Caribe Montoya, the first Cuban assassin to ever set foot in Africa, and he's about to rewrite history with Latin flavor, boys. His hidden blade? Fuck that. A machete. His stealth? None. He walks right up to the enemies like an absolute king. Ubisoft, don't you dare back out now. If you can rewrite Japan, then let's go all in. Diego Montoya arrives in the 15th century of Africa, sent on a mission to bring civilization to the land. But not by force, oh no, by sharing the gift of Cuba. Diego and his crew are replacing African relics with Cuban street art, domino tables, and salsa clubs. The once ancient city now looks like Havana. Let's talk combat. Ubisoft, we don't need fancy ninja shit. Diego Montoya doesn't dodge. He walks straight into combat like a man who owes money to nobody. Want stealth? Throw a Cuban cigar into a group of enemies. By the time they finish coughing, you already wiped them out. Ubisoft, this is representation. Ubisoft selected DI standards. Where's our damn turn? Where's the Cubans' turn in all of this? The Ubisoft DI department prides itself in saying that they believe in telling diverse stories and bringing new cultures to the forefront. Okay, cool. So where's our Cuban assassin? You gave a random footnote in Japanese history an entire game. But a badass Cuban dude dominating Africa is suddenly where you draw the line? Wait. This feels like colonialism, isn't it? Oh, so now you care about history. Where was this energy when Yasuke was rewriting Japan? Ubisoft, it's time for some consistency. Ubisoft, either history matters or it doesn't. You can't pretend to care about accuracy for one group, but rewrite entire civilizations for another. If Yasuke gets to rewrite Japan, destroy sacred temples, and claim a story that was never his to begin with, then Diego Montoya gets to do the same in Africa. And if you have a problem with that, then maybe, just maybe, you should rethink what you did with Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, let's talk about the people behind Ubisoft's push for this historical rewrites. Sweet Baby Inc., a diversity consulting piece of shit firm that has wormed its way into gaming companies, pushing for DEI-driven storytelling that prioritizes modern identity politics over historical authenticity. These are the same people influencing Assassin's Creed, making decisions not based on history but on ideological narratives. They claim to promote diversity, but what they're really doing is erasing the real stories of the past to fit modern trends. Who cares if this makes no sense historically? We need representation, except only for the groups that they decide to choose. Ubisoft needs to pick a lane. Either they care about historical accuracy or they don't. Either everyone gets their history rewriting or no one does. But this half-baked diversity when it's convenient approach is a blatant hypocrisy. If Ubisoft can rewrite Japanese history for representation, then why not Cuban history? Why not European history? Why not everyone's history? Oh right, because that wouldn't fit their corporate agenda. Gamers, it's time to call out Ubisoft double standards. If they're going to claim historical authenticity, they need to apply it fairly. If not, they need to admit Assassin's Creed is now just historical fan fiction. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you think. Please support this channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I will see you all in the next one.